I've always believed that intelligence was the ultimate armor, that being smart meant I'd make fewer mistakes, suffer less, and navigate life with precision. But as I've grown older, I've realized something deeply unsettling. Intelligence doesn't protect you from bad choices. In fact, sometimes it guarantees them. It's a paradox I've witnessed in others and felt within myself. The smarter you are, the more likely you are to rationalize your way into disaster. You think you've seen every angle, predicted every outcome, analyzed every risk, and yet you walk right into the fire, fully aware it's burning. Not because you don't know better, but because you believe you do. There's an arrogance that comes with intelligence, a subtle illusion that the mind is always right. But life, in all its unpredictability, doesn't bow to logic. It thrives on emotion, intuition, and chaos, things the analytical mind often dismisses. So, while the average person might hesitate, question, or seek advice, the intelligent one often charges ahead, confident that reason alone can't fail them. But it does, over and over again. And when it does, the pain is sharper, not because the loss is greater, but because the person who was supposed to know better didn't. This is the cruel irony of intelligence. The brighter your mind, the darker your blind spots become. One of the most painful ironies of being intelligent is the tendency to overthink. Smart people are cursed with an active mind that never rests, a brain that insists on analyzing every word, every possibility, and every potential outcome. What feels like a gift of insight often turns into a prison of paralysis. Overthinking is not simply about thinking too much. It's about thinking in circles, dissecting reality until it loses shape. You replay conversations, doubt decisions, and examine scenarios that never happened. And in doing so, you lose the ability to act with simplicity. The smarter you are, the more you believe there's always one more angle to consider, one more variable to calculate, one more reason to wait. Ironically, intelligence can make you hesitate while others simply move. You tell yourself you're being rational, that caution is wisdom. But deep down, it's fear dressed as intellect. The fear of being wrong, the fear of failure, the fear that your intelligence, the very thing you pride yourself on, might not be enough this time. And so you stall. You overanalyze until the window of opportunity closes. You think so hard about how to make the right choice that you end up making none at all. Or worse, you make a decision that looks perfect on paper but feels hollow in the heart. Overthinking blinds you to the simplicity of life. It teaches you to see problems where there are none, to question happiness because it feels too easy, and to doubt peace because it seems undeserved. In a world that rewards decisiveness, the overthinker is often trapped between knowing too much and understanding too little. Because intelligence gives you the ability to see 1,000 possible outcomes, but it doesn't give you the courage to choose one. And sometimes, the smartest choice isn't the one that's most logical. It's the one that's most alive. One of the quietest traps intelligent people fall into is the illusion of control. When your mind is trained to analyze, predict, and calculate, you start to believe that if you just think hard enough, you can control the outcome of life. You begin to see logic not only as a tool for understanding the world, but as a shield against uncertainty. But life doesn't follow equations. It doesn't reward logic the way classrooms do. It's messy, unpredictable, and often unfair. Yet smart people struggle to accept that truth. They want the world to make sense, to have patterns that can be decoded, emotions that can be reasoned with, and chaos that can be organized. So they cling to reason even in moments that demand surrender. They rationalize pain instead of feeling it. They analyze love until it dies under the microscope. They calculate every decision until spontaneity, the raw essence of being human, disappears. The illusion of control gives comfort at first. It feels safe to believe that your intellect can protect you from failure or regret. But the more you try to control, the more life finds ways to humble you. Because logic cannot stop loss. It cannot soften heartbreak. It cannot predict the mysteries of timing or human emotion. Eventually, this obsession with control turns inward. Smart people start to mistrust themselves. Every instinct must be justified. Every emotion must be explained. The brain and the heart begin a war that has no winner. Ironically, the smartest people often live the most constrained lives, not because the world limits them, but because they refuse to let go. They are haunted by the need to always know. Yet real wisdom often begins with admitting, "I don't." The truth is, the universe doesn't reward control. It rewards alignment. Life opens up not when you force it to obey your logic, but when you allow it to surprise you. Because the smartest thing a person can sometimes do is stop trying to outsmart life. Smart people are often brilliant at understanding patterns, except the ones that live within themselves. They can dissect the psychology of others, solve complex equations, and predict global trends, yet remain blind to their own emotional wounds. This is what happens when intelligence outruns self-awareness. The mind races ahead, building theories about everything except the self. The more one knows, the easier it becomes to hide behind that knowledge. Pain gets intellectualized instead of healed. Regret becomes a case study instead of a confession. The person becomes fluent in analyzing emotions, but not in feeling them. And this is where the tragedy begins. Because intelligence can mask insecurity. It can make avoidance look like wisdom, detachment look like discipline, and pride look like strength. The smartest people can convince themselves they're fine, simply because they can explain why they're not. You'll often see them use reason as armor. When someone hurts them, they'll rationalize it away. They're just projecting. It's a reflection of their upbringing. They'll turn heartbreak into a psychological essay, neat, organized, and distant. But deep down, something raw and unprocessed still bleeds quietly. When the brain is always busy interpreting emotions instead of experiencing them, empathy begins to fade. Not because the person doesn't care, but because caring feels inefficient. Vulnerability feels like a distraction from logic. So they retreat into their heads, mistaking emotional numbness for maturity. The paradox here is cruel. The same intelligence that gives them insight into the world often isolates them from it. They end up misreading emotional depth as weakness and silence as composure. They forget that emotions aren't problems to be solved, they're truths to be lived. True intelligence isn't just about understanding complexity. It's about recognizing simplicity when it stares back at you. It's realizing that a tear can say what an essay cannot. That silence can communicate what language fails to capture. Emotional awareness is the bridge between intellect and humanity. Without it, brilliance becomes brittle. But when intellect and emotion finally walk hand in hand, something extraordinary happens. Wisdom turns from sharpness into softness. And that softness, that humble recognition of one's own limits, is where true strength begins. Smart people have a gift, the ability to see every angle, every possibility, every consequence before it happens. But that same gift can become their quiet prison. Because when you can see everything that could go wrong, you start believing that everything will go wrong. Overthinking is not indecision. It's self-defense disguised as logic. The mind builds a maze of what if, not to get lost, but to stay safe. Every choice becomes a calculation, every risk a forecast, and every feeling a potential threat. It's exhausting to live like that, thinking 3 moves ahead in a game no one else even knows is being played. You see, insight brings clarity, But too much of it brings paralysis. When you can see both sides of every argument, every solution starts to look like a compromise. The more you know, the harder it is to move. Because knowing makes you aware, painfully aware, of how easily things can break. So they retreat into their thoughts. Not because they lack courage, but because thinking feels safer than feeling. They'll analyze love until it loses its warmth. They'll study happiness until it becomes theory. They'll over-prepare for life until life passes them by. And in that quiet isolation, they begin to confuse safety with peace. But there's a difference. Safety is control. Peace is surrender. One is built by fear. The other is born of trust. The irony is that overthinkers crave connection more deeply than most, but their minds never stop questioning it. What if they don't really care? What if I'm not enough? What if this doesn't last? They test every emotion against the probability of pain. And so, even when love stands right in front of them, they hesitate, not because they don't feel, but because they feel too much. The burden of insight is loneliness. The more you see, the harder it becomes to explain what you see. People tell you to stop thinking so much, but that's like asking the sun not to shine. The real strength lies not in silencing the mind, but in teaching it to rest. To know that not every question needs an answer, and not every unknown is a threat. Because sometimes, the smartest thing you can do is stop thinking and simply live. In the end, intelligence is not a shield against mistakes. It's a magnifying glass that sometimes burns the hand that holds it. Smart people don't fall because they're foolish. They fall because they think they've already mapped every possible danger, and in doing so, they forget the one variable they can never control, themselves. They analyze, anticipate, and rationalize, but life isn't a formula. It's a pulse. And sometimes, the wisest decision isn't the most logical one. It's the one that feels right in the silence between thoughts. You see, the paradox of being smart is that the more you understand the world, the harder it becomes to live freely within it. Because understanding is heavy. It makes you cautious. It makes you afraid to trust. It makes you see the cracks in every smile, the flaw in every plan, the limit in every dream. But maybe, just maybe, wisdom isn't about predicting the safest path. Maybe it's about walking anyway, even when your mind warns you not to. Because no amount of intelligence can replace the beauty of experience, or the courage it takes to fail and begin again. So if you're someone who thinks too much, plans too deeply, and fears mistakes before they happen, remember this. The goal isn't to outthink life. It's to outgrow the fear of living it. And sometimes, the smartest thing you can do is simply to be human.